Analyze.
analyze how they learn the codes better and faster, doing a program about that to them if they can maybe learn faster about all the codes of the program. Maybe.
Okay. How would you do that, Mickey? Thank you, Mitch. How would you create a school or a program or an organization that teaches um, students, potential students, to learn how to program fast and better and thoroughly complete? How would you create that?
Um, mm, 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 mm. It's a hard question. Maybe I
Yeah,
think
it's
that.
not easy.
Mm, so how can I create like? Could you repeat it? I need
Yes,
to
yes, 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 yes.
think
The
again.
government assigns you, they say, okay, we want Mickey to be in charge of the cluster, technology cluster in the Secretary of Economy. Yeah, we're going to pay you 45,000 pesos a month, but you are in charge of developing this cluster. There must be more programmers in the state. So that means you need to talk to the universities, improve their programs, their educational programs, probably give them the language. You need to tell them probably, well, we want to bring factories from India, we want to bring software developers from India, but we need to have also good programmers in Mexico that can program in Python or Perl or HTML or C or C++ or Visual Visual Studio, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know the names. All the new programs, right? But you need to create the program. You need to create an organization that teaches candidate workers to become good. You want to raise the level of education in programming of the society. Of course, the whole departments of the state don't do it, right? So I'm not expecting that you come up with a magic wand and say, okay, here is the solution. No, no, no. But just we're just discussing a complex problem. Actually, it's not an easy problem. It's a complex challenge. But just to see your ideas.
Hmm. Maybe I need to go to the universities and the universities that have careers about programmation and computer, uh, yeah, and computer engineers, and check what are the highest levels in their universities, and maybe give that convocatory or this offer to the persons that really want to be part, and later of all these persons make a selection with the highest uh, with the
Scores?
highest scores, yeah, and look how they act during the process, and continue selecting only a few of all this quantity, and yeah, start with the program.
Okay, very good, very interesting. So yeah. Well, the question is complex, but the idea, the idea is that uh, you need to people need to spend more time to become better. Yeah, maybe you are very talented. Yeah, maybe they say, okay, Mitch is an incredibly talented lady. She can learn something 20% faster than most people. Okay, and what do you do with those 20% extra time that you have, Mitch? Well, you use it to become just not great, but amazing, an amazing developer, an amazing sports lady, an amazing star artist, amazing whatever. So you have 20% more time than the rest of your competitors. So you use it to become even better or to do another activity, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, let's find what they saw here, please. So we say Erickson and his colleagues, please.
Mitchell?
You want to
Yes.
read Mitch, please?
Mhm. Harrison and his colleagues, they compared amateur pianists with professional pianists. The same pattern emerged. The amateurs never practice more than about 3 hours a week over the course of their childhood, and by the age of 20, they had total 2,000 hours of practice. The professional, on the other hand, steadily increased their practice time every year, until by the age of 20, they, like the violinist, had reached 10,000 hours.
Well, this is surprising, right? But it's also a commonality. It looks like if you want to be a good violinist, a good pianist, a good scientist, a good sportsman, a good whatever, there is a pattern, a similarity, which is you need to reach 10,000 hours of practice. This seems like a commonality. This is
Yes.
something common, right? It's a coincidence? Well, maybe it's a coincidence, but it's a fact, right? By researchers. So, well, the researchers say that. Let's continue. Let's continue reading, Mickey, please. The striking thing.
Yeah. The striking thing about Erickson's study is that he and his college couldn't find any naturals, musicians who floated effortlessly to the top while practicing a fraction of the time their peers did, nor could they find any grants. People who worked harder than everyone else, yet just didn't have what it takes to break the top ranks. Their research suggested that once a musician has enough ability to get into a top music school, the thing that distinguishes one performer from another is how hard he or she works. That's it. And what's more, the people at the very top don't work just harder, or even much harder than everyone else. They work much, much harder.
Okay. So the idea that if you want to become very, very good at something, just work harder. That's you would say, well, that's very basic. That's very not counterintuitive, but sounds like a very primitive. Yeah, just work harder to become better. Like this lacks romanticism, right? We want to think. I wanted to think when I was an adolescent. I wanted to think in this romantic idea that I just need to put my concentration and the music was going to flow with no effort, just by inspiration. Well, that has some part of, how can I say this? It sounds funny, it sounds nice, it sounds romantic. Yeah. Just put your concentration, inspiration, pray God, God help me, and you will write a fantastic piece of poetry. Just like, I don't know, the best poets, Pablo Neruda or whoever, right? Or just concentrate and you will develop a code that is better than Bill Gates or
Hmm.
this guy. Mm, it's just a romantic idea that most of us, I had it when I was an adolescent. I had it. I need to be honest. I said, well, I thought that all I needed to swim fast was to breathe hard. And here I go with all my energy. No, I couldn't do it. I couldn't. There were athletes that were very strong, very in good physical shape, that just swam like 10 times faster than I did because they trained every day, every day, every day. They became strong, they became good fit, they developed their technique, and they simply won, right? So the idea that it's enough to have a lot of intention, a good intention, a lot of motivation, you still need to work. You still need to work every day. It's what this book says. I don't know. You may still disagree. I don't know. But the idea is that
Mhm.
if you want to become better, you need to work. I mean, in general, work harder. Maybe,
Yeah.
well, this is the idea. Let's continue for a little bit more. The
Mitch?
idea of excellence. Mitch, you want to read it, please?
Sí. Mm, yes. The idea that excellence at performing and complex tasks requires a critical minimum level of practice surfaces again and again in studies of expertise. In fact, researchers have been settled on what they believe in is the magic number for true expertise: 10,000 hours. The emerging pictures from such a study is that 10,000 uh, hours of practice is required to achieve the level of mastery associated with being a world-class expert in anything, writes the neurologist eh, logist Daniel Levitin. In a study after a study of composers, basketball players, fiction writers, ice skaters, concert pianists, chess players, master criminals, and what have you, this number comes again and again. Of course, it doesn't address why some people get more out of their practice session than others do, but no one has yet found a case in which true world class expertise was accomplished in less time. It seems that it takes the brain this long to assimilate all that it needs to know to achieve true mastery. This is true even of people when we think of a prodigious Mozart, for example, famously started writing music at 6, but writes the psychologist Michael Howe in his book Genius Explained. By the standards of mature composers, Mozart's I, works are not outstanding. The earliest pieces were a product written down by his father and perhaps improving the process. Many of Wolfgang's childhood compositions, such as the first seven of his concerto for piano and orchestra, are largely arrangements of works by other composers of those concertos that only contain music original to Mozart. The earliest that is not recorded as a masterwork. No, bueno, was not composed until he was 21. By the time Mozart had already been composing concertos for 10 years.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mitch. So as you can see, yeah, you say Mozart was a prodigy, was a genius, was fantastic. He was composing pieces at the age of 6. Well, yeah, but the quality is not comparable to the quality of his concerts or the other concertos that he was composing when he was 20, 21, 22. And
Mhm.
well, the evidence is there, right? So we glamorize the idea of prodigies as something that is for which is not, for which is work is not necessary. We try to glamorize that, but it's not true. I mean, in the argumentation of this book, which is written by a famous sociologist, Michael Gladwell, uh, the idea that you need to work is universal in anything. If you want to become a good chef, a good sportsman, a good developer, a good whatever, you need to put in the hours.
Yeah.
uh, well, I am convinced by this. Let's see what it says after this, please. It's very interesting. Can you continue, Mickey, please?
Yes, sure. The music critic Harold Schoenberg goes further. Mozart, he argues, actually developed late, since he didn't produce his greatest work until he had been composing for more than 20 years.
Okay,
Uh,
continue.
Continue? Okay.
Yes, please, just a
To
couple of
become
paragraphs.
a chess grandmaster also seems to take about 10 years. Only the legendary Bobby Fischer got to that elite level in less than that amount of time. It took him 9 years. And what's 10 years? Well, it's roughly how long it takes to put in 10,000 hours of hard practice. 10,000 hours is the magic number of greatness.
Okay, let's make a division. Mitch was doing something very interesting. She put, I think you put 10,000 hours in days, in full days, but of course we still need to sleep and eat and do that, right? So what is 10,000 hours, Mitch? Divide that up. Why don't we divide it in 8 hours? 8 hours because it's the normal work journey, right? Or 10 hours, 8 hours or 10 hours. So to see how many days or how many years you need to become a true master in any field. What is 10,000 divided by 8, please?
Mm, 1,250?
1,250. Okay, thank you, Mickey. So this is days, right?
Mhm.
So in about 1,250. And how many days a year do we work? Let's say we have 52 weeks. Out of those 52 weeks, how many days? 52 weeks times, say, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
What is this? 5 times 2, 0. We carry 1. 5 times 5,
260.
25. And we carry 1 is 260.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's divide that up to see how many years, right? So it is 1,250 divided into 260. See what we get. How many years of practicing 8 hours a day do we need to become true masters?
Uh, 4.80.
4.80. Well, that's for almost 5 years, right?
Yeah.
4.80 years to become a true master in anything, devoting 8 hours a day. 8 hours is like a full journey, like if it's your profession.
Yeah.
So let's say that you want to become a professional developer, you want to become a professional basketball player, a professional guitarist, or professional player. You need almost 5 years full time to become an expert, a real true professional in that. What do you think? Does it make sense? Sounds exaggerated? Sounds over ambitious? What's your opinion about these numbers, Mitch and Mickey?
Hmm. Well, makes sense because, for example, the people who practice all this time now in this moment they are dedicated, or I think that the majority of these persons are dedicated to that activity. For example, the musicians or the soccer players or football players, they obviously practiced, and that's why they are in where they are.
Right, exactly. What do you think? Thank you, Mickey. What do you think,
Mhm.
Mitch?
Well, maybe also is included if the people really like the thing that we put a lot of time on it, because if they have passion of that activity that they are doing, maybe they even can get money for about that. Of course, this is a really general number, the 4.8 years, because there is a lot with some others activity that needs more years of practice. Uh, Although the person have the passion of learning that. For example, I don't know, the uh, medicine stuff, drawing stuff, eh, dancing stuff. There depends of the activity and the passion of the person can put on the learning of. Well, I don't know if you get my point.
Totally, totally. Yeah, of course. And do you agree that it's very logical that if you're going to spend a huge amount of hours to something, at least it needs to be something that you like, that you feel passionate about, right?
Mhm.
Because it's silly that you devote hours and hours and hours, months and years to something that is not your passion. So that's very, very sad, very disappointing. Imagine to be in a profession that you hate, that you don't like, that say, oh, why am I doing this? On the other hand, if it is something that you like, people notice. People can tell, oh, this person likes what he's doing or what she's doing. Oh,
Yeah,
look,
absolutely, that have not sense when people try to study something that they don't like to dedicate and get maybe no because with this work I gonna get a lot of money even if I don't like it. But bro, it's your life. It's you are wasting your time or your short time that you have in the world doing something that you don't like. What kind of life you are having though? Um, well, I think when someone have the passion of the activity that they're doing, the money come along. When the money come,
comes.
the money comes.
The money comes and it can by itself, but normally with your effort. In other words, you love developing code or software, or whatever, or animations. Well, you're gonna put more hours, but say, hey, Mitch is all day long developing animations. She's not spending 3 hours or four. She's developing, spending 4, 5, 6 hours. Well, yeah, but she's happy. She's putting all her passion, all her effort in this thing, right? They
Mhm.
say, hey, Mickey is trading with the Chinese now. Mickey is trading with the Arabs. Why is he spending so many hours? Well, because he's his passion. He likes to do
Mhm.
it. He's bringing machinery from South America, from Africa, from Russia, from China, from Germany. Well, it's his passion. He likes to do that, right? So you're gonna put in more hours, and you will become better sooner, which is another issue, right? You see,
Yeah.
well, these people are very, very, how do you say this? When you precautious, they are precocious, right? It's not that they are precocious, they devote more time to the things they love, right? So if you really like something, you don't put 3 or 4 hours, you put in 6, 7, 8 hours, but then you still reach the 10,000 hours, except that you reach the 10,000 hours not in 10 years, but in 4 years or 5 years, right?
Yeah.
But you still put in the 10,000 hours. Is the idea that this book has, which I love. I don't know, but it makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's read a little bit more, please. Here is the explanation of what was puzzling here, please. It says, uh, here, please. Somebody wants to continue?
Mm.
Yeah. Here is the explanation for what was so puzzling about the rosters of the CSH and Canadian national sport teams. There was practically no one of those teams born after September 1, which doesn't seem to make any sense. You'd think that there should be a fair number of CSH hockey or soccer prodigies born late in the year who are so talented that they eventually make their way into the top tier as young adults despite their birthdays dates.
Okay, thank you. So, most of the adults were never born after September 1st. They were born before. Why is September 1st or September 1 so important when you choose uh, people to become sportsmen? What do you think is the relevance of having a date like September? Why do you think is that of any meaning or any sense? Why can that be important?
Mm, I don't know, teacher.
There is a connection with the school system, and you're gonna be surprised, but it makes total sense. It's totally logical. And let's read a little bit about that so that you truly understand what is the significance or the meaning of this September 1. Can you read what follows, please? But to Erickson?
Mhm. Yeah. But to Erickson and those who argue against the primacy of talent, that isn't surprising at all. That late-born prodigy doesn't get chosen for all the start team as an 8-year-old because he's too small, so he doesn't get the extra practice. And without that extra practice, he has no chance at hitting 10,000 hours by the time the professional hockey teams start looking for players. And without 10,000 hours under his belt, there is no way he can ever master the skills necessary to play at the top level. Even Mozart, the greatest musical prodigy of all the time, could, couldn't hit his stride until he had his 10,000 hours in. Practice isn't the thing you do once you're good, it's the thing you do that makes you good.
Exactly. Exactly. In other words, if you want to qualify as a very top sportsman, let's say you go to the school system, right? You are born in September, October, November, December, January, etc., February, March, March, April, right? So you're born after this when It's different that if you're born in uh, April, May, June, July, August. What's the difference? For example, who's gonna be bigger and stronger? A student that was born in May, June, July, or August, or a student that was born in September, October, November, December, January. Let's take March and April here. Let's choose these two people who were born in March and April. They are in the same age, right? In the same grade. They go to school. They go to the same. They are in first grade,
Hmm.
right? But they say that normally they choose these students become the best sportsmen. These ones. Why? Who are heavier? Who are stronger? Who are bigger in age in general, in average? The guys that were
Mm,
born in September or the guys that were born in August, July, June, May, April, March?
uh, the persons who born in March, April, May, June, July, and August.
Yeah, they're gonna be stronger. They're gonna be in the same year. I mean, you're gonna be in first grade or second grade. They are all in first grade, but these are bigger, right?
Yeah.
These are older. I mean, older, older. Consequently, they are bigger and they're heavier,
Hmm.
right? And that's a big advantage. That's what it's gonna say. It's gonna say here. Okay, let's read this part. In the other interesting thing here, please. The other interesting thing.
The other interesting thing about that 10,000 hours, of course, is that 10,000 hours is an enormous amount of time. It's all but impossible to reach that number all by yourself by the time you're a young adult. You have to have parents who encourage and support you. You can't be poor, because if you have to hold down a part-time job and decide to help make ends meet, there won't be time left in the day to practice enough. In fact, most people can reach that number only if they get into some kind of special program, like a hockey star squad, or if they get some kind of extraordinary opportunity that gives them a chance to put in those hours.
Right. So you want to become a really strong hockey player, you need to put in the hours. To put in the hours, you need to have certain age. I mean, to be born in certain months of the year, and to have the support of your family. So that all ties in together with the idea that the more hours, the better you become. Let's read section three, Mitch. Can you please?
So back to Bill Joy. I forget this guy. It's 1971. He's tall and got got car and 16 years old. He's the mod with the kind of student that school like MIT, the Caltech, and the University of Waterloo attract by the hundreds. When Bill was little kid, he want to know everything about everything way before he should even know he wants to know, his father William says. We answered him when we could and when we couldn't. We would just give him a book when it came time to apply to a college. Joy got a perfect score on the math portion of the scholastic aptitude test. It wasn't particularly hard. He said matter of factly there was a plenty of time to check it twice.
Okay. Let me read this section myself. He was talented by the truckload, but that's not the only consideration. It never is. The key to his development is that he stumbled across a nondescript building on Bill Avenue. Um, okay, so he's putting a lot of hours to become a good programmer. Let's continue, Mickey, please. Can you?
In the early 1970s, when Joy was learning about programming, computers were the size of rooms. A single machine, which might have less power and memory than your microwave now has, could cost upwards of $1 million. and that's in 1970 dollars. Computers were rare. If you found one, it was hard to get access to it. If you managed to get access, renting time and the cost of a fortune. Continue?
Okay. Yeah, just a little part here, please, and then we pass it to Mitch, please.
Mhm. What's more, programming itself was extraordinarily tedious. This was the era when computer programs were created using cardboard punch cards. Each line of code was imprinted on the card using a key punch machine.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So the resources back then were very old, they were very tedious, and they were not very efficient. But still, you put a lot of hours there. Let's read the rest of the paragraph. Mitch, can you please?
Yeah. A complex program might include hundreds, if not thousands, of these cards in tall stacks. Once a program was ready, you walked over to whatever mainframe computer you had access to one and gave the stack of cards to an operator. Since computer could handle only one task at the time, the operator made an appointment for your program, and depending on how many people were ahead of you in line, you might not get your cards back for a few hours or even a day. And if you made even a single error, even a typographical error in your program, you had to take the cards back, track down the error, and begin the whole process again.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was really, really difficult that you made a mistake. The consequences were severe. You wasted a lot of time and effort. Okay, so let's continue, Mickey, please. Under those circumstances,
Yes. Under those circumstances, it was exceedingly difficult for anyone to become a programming expert. Certainly, becoming expert by your early 20s was all but impossible. When you can program for only a few minutes out of every hour you spent in the computer room, how can you ever get in 10,000 hours of practice? Programming with cars, one computer scientist from that era remembers, did not teach you programming, it taught you patience and proofreading.
patience. Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. Let's read the last paragraph, Mitch, and then we have a short discussion, please. It wasn't
It wasn't until the mid of 60s
1960s, 1960s.
1960s that a solution to the programming problem emerged. Computers were finally powerful enough that they could handle more than one appointment at once. If the computer's operating system was programmed, computer scientists realized the machine's time could be shared. The computer could be trained to handle hundreds of tasks at the same time. That in turn meant that programmers didn't have to say
Physically,
physically hand their stacks of computer cards to the operator anymore. Dozens of terminals could be built linked to the mainframe by a telephone line, and everyone could be working online all at once. Here is now one of history of the period describes the advent of time sharing. Ah, this was not just a revolution, it was revelation. Forget the operator, the cards decks, the wait. With the time sharing, you could see that your teletype bank in a couple of commands and get an answer then and there. Time sharing was interactive. A program could ask for a response, wait for you to type in it, act on it while you waited, and show you the result all in real time.
very good. So the computer systems began to progress, to have improvements, and this had a fabulous consequence. Let's see what were those consequences, Mickey, please.
Yes, sure. This is where Michigan came in, because Michigan was one of the first universities in the world to switch over time sharing by 1977. A prototype of the system was up and running. By the early 1970s, Michigan had enough computer power that 100 people could be programming simultaneously in the computer center. In the late 60s, early 70s, I don't think there was any place else that was exactly like Michigan. Mike Alexander, one of the pioneers of Michigan's computer system, said, maybe MIT, maybe Carnegie Mellon, maybe Dartmouth. I don't think there were any others.
Okay, very good.
Continue.
Yes, please. Just one more paragraph and then Mitch, please.
This was the opportunity that greeted Bill Joy when he arrived on the Ann Arbor campus in the fall of 1971. He hadn't chosen Michigan because of its computers. He had never done anything with computers in high school. He was interested in math and engineering, but when the programming bug hit him in his freshman year, he found himself, by the happiest of accidents, in one of the few places in the world where a 17 years old could program all he wanted.
Very good. Thank you very much. So it was a coincidence. In a way, it was a coincidence that he came to this place when the new opportunities emerged. Um, let's read this, Mitch, please. Can you read this and the next paragraph?
Yeah. Do you know what the difference is between the computing cards at the time sharing? Joy says, I is the difference between playing chess by mail and speed chess. Programming wasn't an exercise in frustration anymore. It was fun. I live in North Campus and the computer center was in North Campus. Joy went on, how much time did I spend there? Oh, a phenomenal amount of time. It was open 24 hours. I would say stay there all night and just walk home in the morning in a average week in those years. I was spending more time in the computer center than on my classes. All of us down there had this recurring nightmare of forgetting to show up for a class at all, of not even realizing where we were enrolled. The challenge was that they gave all the students an account with a fixed amount of money, so your time will run out. When you signed on, you would put in how long you want to spend on the computer. Then they gave you like an hour of time. That's all you get. But someone figured out that if you put in time equals and the letter like T equals K, that wouldn't charge you. He said, laughing at the memory. It was a bug in the software. You could putting in T equals K at it there be forever.
The idea, what was the idea with this trick, Mickey or Mitch? They were cheating the system. They found a bug, a problem in the system that would allow them to use more hours in the laboratory, in the computer laboratory. What is the idea of this cheating the system or breaking the system? Why did he want to do that?
Because maybe, well, I don't know. They need more time, or they
Yes.
just want to be against the system.
Yeah, but they
And
wanted to use more hours of the laboratory. If
Mhm.
mhm.
they only gave you like you can only use the laboratory for 10 hours a week and you find a bug and you break the system, you can use many more hours to your advantage. That means
Yeah.
more practice. That means that you become better sooner. Or what do you think about that, Mickey?
Yeah, the same teacher.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, let's just read very quickly this last paragraph, and then we close the session with a conclusion. Just look at the stream of opportunities, please.
Just look at the stream of opportunities that came Bill Joy's way. Because he happened to go to a fair-sided school like the University of Michigan, he was able to practice on a time-sharing system instead of with punch cards. Because the Michigan system happened to have a book in it, he could program all he wanted because the university was willing to spend the money to keep the computer center open 24 hours. He would stay up all night, and because he was able to put in so many hours, by the time he happened to be presented with the opportunity to rewrite Unix, he was up to the task. Bill Joy was brilliant. He wanted to learn, that was a big part of it. But before he could become an expert, someone had to give him the opportunity to learn how to be an expert.
Exactly. Well, let's draw conclusions from this chapter, please. What is the main conclusion, the main idea that you get from reading this? Yeah, natural talent gives you probably uh, the ability. Well, I don't know. You give me your conclusion, please. I don't want to give my conclusion. I want you to give me your conclusion, please. What do you think, Mitch? Please.
Hmm. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe of all of this, I end with the most important thing that was the strategy of learnings of each people of a society of learn a new activity that they really like. It's something that we are on that kind of things every day, and how we are using our life to learn for something like that.
Yeah, well, we're losing our life, or we're gaining our life if we learn something that we love or that we like, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you agree with that concept. Of course, if you devote time to do something that is not useful or that you don't like, yeah, it's a waste of time. But what if you
Uh-huh.
put in those hours in something that you truly love, that you really like?
Mhm.
Absolutely. Also, not just for learning new activities, maybe just for a personal thinking of how to have to healthy relationships with your friends, of girlfriend, boyfriend. I don't know if we don't have toxic relationship, it could be truly better for our mind and for our life. Up,
Absolutely, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Continue. Yes.
and that's it.
That's it. Very good. Excellent. Thank you very much. Mickey, what is your conclusion? What do you think? What are your thoughts about this topic today?
Yes, sure. Well, at the beginning, you must aware of the things that you want to achieve it, that you want to learn, and if you use the rule of the 10,000 hours, the most probably is that you're gonna achieve it. And of course, you just don't need to have the talent. You need to develop your talent, and that's why our 10,000 hours. We saw this chapter, and there was persons who practice a lot, persons that practice only some hours, and persons that practice only a few hours in a day. And yeah, we can see the results. Another thing is that you need to have the support of your family, of your school, to develop your the things that you want to develop. And yeah, that's my conclusion, teacher.
Okay, very good, guys. Excellent. Well, I totally agree with you, with both of you, Mitch and Mickey. I think that you must have passion for what you do. If you have
Yeah.
this passion, you will devote more hours, more time, and consequently, naturally, there is no way you cannot succeed if you put in many hours. And of course, not just put the hours just for the sake of it. You put the hours because you want to really become good. So you put your soul, your heart, your effort, everything, your motivation into the hours of anything you do, right? So that way you become very efficient and you become very effective. Okay. Well,
Yes.
guys, it was a very interesting conversation, very interesting discussion today. I'm glad to hear your comments. Very interesting, very profound, very smart. So, well, let's continue. When do we have the next session? Is that
Uh,
we said?
I think uh,
Whenever,
I don't
teacher.
whenever.
Uh, which day is better for you, teacher?
I thought we said Wednesday and Thursday. That would be great for me. Wednesday and Thursday would be fantastic.
Okay,
From
Okay.
teacher.
12 to
It's perfect.
1:30. Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
perfect,
guys,
teacher.
thank you very much. Good talking to you as usual. Happy New Year. All the best for this year for you and your family. And we meet on Wednesday, guys.
Wednesday. Yes, teacher. Thank you very much. You as well. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, teacher, for your time in the class.
Thank you,
See you
Mitch.
next
Mickey, take care. See you on Wednesday.
Take
Bye.
care, teacher. Thank you very
Bye
much.
bye.
See you.
Thank you very much. See you. Bye.